Hello everybody, welcome back to the Panel by Panel Comics YouTube channel. Today is my buy or sell video. We have 10 new comics to talk about, so let's go ahead and get right into it. But before we get too deep into the video, guys, if you are new to the channel, please hit that like button and the subscribe button as well for nearly daily comic book content all throughout the week and plenty of shorts if there are a video that day. So let's go ahead, get started with the first book. We have 10 to talk about, and we're going to be talking about The Deadman, issue 1. This is a 6-issue mini currently. This is also 32 pages for the price of $4. Now, this book is written by W. Maxwell Prince, and the artist is Martin Morazzo. If those names sound familiar, it's the same duo that did Superman Kryptonite Spectrum and their more famous book, The Ice Cream Man. So if the art looks familiar in this series, that is why. But it starts off with Boston, who is the Deadman. At this, not funeral home, but at this hospital where they're technically in the hospice area of the hospital. And the people working there are essentially saying that this place is full of people that are about to die. Such as this one guy who worked in a fracking farm, and he was not a good person at all. And whenever Boston gets to him, he's telling him, you polluted the water, poisoned the air. They told you about the methane leaks, but you profited off the pain of others. You reveled in the misery of man, but you're lucky that your kids pray to the one above all every night, and that's why you're going to go to heaven. He also steps in and makes sure that this 18-year-old girl does not die. Pretty interesting how he has to intervene sometimes whenever there's something wrong. He has to basically just, it's called correctionism or correction. Then we get the reveal of who looks to be the evil character in this series. Can't quite remember his name right now, but he's essentially eats on human flesh to collect the blood, and that's what keeps him going. We also learn about the past of Boston, how he interacts with all the other ghosts, and how those are the only people that can hear and see him. Pretty cool. He's closest to this young boy named Bobby, who died at 12 years old after a cattle killed him. Pretty sad, pretty interesting. But then the Deadman, after trying to peep on his former wife, who he now can't talk to, she's still alive after he died, he goes to this motorcycle guy who's known as, can't quite remember what his name is, but he basically eats flies. I think he's actually called Fly Eater is his name. And he's there because he knows he's about to die, and he dies, but whenever he's about to get sent up to heaven or wherever, he gets his head chopped off by this demon. And when I say chopped off, I mean chopped off, as in eaten. And then the Deadman's like, what have you done? Holy... Then he tries to interfere and kill the demon, and he rips his wings off. And now he has to go to the guy, the Lord of whatever, trying to tell them the situation that's on. Meanwhile, the dude that feasts on blood kidnapped this guy and starts to feast on him, because that's how he survives. That's how he lives. Anyways, Deadman goes back to Lord Kushna, tells him about the experience, and we also get a reveal at the end of the guy that is going to be the villain. His name is the Bibliophile. Kind of weird, kind of cool though. Really interesting book. I really liked it. This came out last week. The Deadman, for me, is going to be a buy. I definitely do recommend you guys getting this book if you are interested in learning about the Deadman. If not, I still think it's a really good book. Next, we go over the Dark Horse. We have The Ring, The Man Who Beat the Man. This is a 32-page comic for $5, written by Gail Simone. The art is done by Elisa Romboli. Now, this follows The Ring, which is actually a name of a belt, a real-world belt, and it shows like this ancient history where there were still boxers fighting for profit, fighting for their livelihood. Then we go to the past timeline, but we see the fight between the Titan and a young buck. Not quite sure what his name was. Joel? Not quite sure. Anyways, the Titan is the main guy that we need to follow in this issue. He is going to be the main character, Marcus Mercury King. he's going to be the main character. He goes around. He used to be this hot shot, but then people felt like he was given every opportunity. He didn't actually deserve anything that he earned. They thought that it was all given to him. They thought he got given the easiest fights, but they still called him the Titan, and he got knocked out that night, and his life went to crap. He started drinking, wasn't a good husband, and then he turned his life around, went back to the gym, got back with his former wife. Everything was going good. And then we go flashback to current day, where Cameron Duggan, he's a writer. He does a lot of boxing stories. He meets this girl, and this girl's a hotshot, I think you could say, in the social media world. Has 4 million subscribers or followers on Instagram, 3.6 on Twitter, 1.6 million on YouTube, which would be amazing to have one day. But she goes to this mansion of this guy called Ivan. The writer's like, hey, do not say this stuff. It'll set him off. So what does she do? She does the exact thing that he says not to do, and she gets a great reaction, and it gets a lot of hits on social media. Then she goes to the fights after the writer, the older man, tells her why this fight is happening. He knows that it's already done. In one punch, the kid is out and done for. And he then calls out the Titan, because that was the one guy that beat him. That's what gets a reaction out of him. And that's where this book is going to go in issue 2. This is an 8-issue mini. And for me personally, it is a buy. I love boxing. And it kind of is true about the real world of boxing and kind of the, I guess, misconceptions around it. And also kind of the harsh reality of how corrupt the boxing world can be, or used to be, or is still. So that's interesting. Next, Only the Savage Are Left. This is issue number 1. This was a really good book, written by Zach Kaplan. Illustrated by Stefano Raphael. This follows the story of really 2 people, Ryder, the guy, and also the female character who I can't quite remember her name. But it talks to us about this virus that impacted the world. They did not know what it was, and it turned your skin yellow, and then you just became an animal after 3 days. So they started to fix it. It was called the Tourette virus, and the CDC was doing all this work. You would start to you would contract it, maybe go get the vaccine that they inevitably came up with, but then people started throwing around these rumors. They're burning the remains of the infected people and inhaling the smoke, and people thought that's actually how you survive. And that's what started to turn people crazy. They started to just shoot people, and they wanted to live, so they would shoot them, inhale the smoke, and it actually does work. But that then obviously causes a divide, because you're still killing people who have a chance to live. But I mean, that you see the moral conflict there. You shouldn't kill people, but also you want to live, so you're going to kill somebody to inhale the smoke so that you can live. Anyways, Ryder goes back to current day, and I mean, look at that 2-page spread right there with the title card. I mean, it looks like you're watching a movie. This is an apocalyptic book. So good. We learn about this Ryder character. We see some of the tragedies that are happening. People that are inhaling the smoke to make sure that they don't get infected by this Tourette virus. Anyways, this female then comes back to this, I guess, town, whatever you want to call it, civilization. Her name is Oakland. That's why I couldn't remember, because it's such a unique name. But anyways, Oakland and her dad, they go there, and the dad is infected, or at least has an infection growing in his leg. So they are like, we can't take him in because we don't bring in strangers that are infected. Ryder and Oakland do hit it off though, but he talks about how he hasn't left this area in forever. He's still that hall monitor from whenever they were kids. They knew each other, and they got along well. So she then goes off on him and the rest of the group, because we're losing everything to monsters. Wake up. Not everyone gets to quit. Pretty intriguing, pretty good philosophy. So Oakland then goes out looking for medical equipment. She finds Ryder out there, and they nearly get killed, but Oakland and somebody else comes to the rescue. This is a great book, really, really good. If you like apocalyptic stories, if you like The Walking Dead, this is kind of similar vibes to that, except not with zombies, just a different virus infecting people. Really good book. It is a buy for me. Highly, highly recommend getting that book. Next, we have a pretty famous group, the Power Rangers. This is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 1. And if I'm being honest with you, I thought this was a completely brand new jumping on point with new characters, a new group, but this was not. This definitely read more like you already knew these characters. And that was pretty frustrating, and that led to me kind of being discombobulated through reading this book. I didn't know why this was happening, who these characters were, why I should care about them, and overall, there's trying to stop this. I forget what her name is, because I know what the main character is, Rita Rabiosa. Not the real Rita, but this is Rita Rabiosa, apparently her kid or something. She's controlling the technology and the planets, and everybody can't do anything because they need tech to survive. Luckily, she can't get to the Power Rangers equipment, so that's how they're making it out alive. But for me, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue number 1, that's a sell. Pretty easily for me. It's not good. Maybe it read better if you read the other comic books that they've come out with, because it might be a continuation from that. I thought this was a brand new jumping on point. Maybe that's my fault for not reading too much into the preview, but it said all new, new uniform, new team, something like that. Not a book for me. I will not be continuing it. Next, we then get to the books from this week that are like the big players. There's some massive books in this list, starting off with the biggest book from DC in terms of a new issue 1, maybe even the overall biggest book that came out from DC this week. We have Absolute Catwoman issue number 1, 40 pages, $5, written by Scott Snyder and Che Grayson. We start off with Selina having her apartment broken into. Then we have a flashback. We see how her morning started. It's her birthday, which is pretty interesting. She's going to this new villa, or this new house out in the middle of the ocean. We kind of get the backstory of how she was. She was born and raised, not born and raised, but she was raised, I guess, in foster homes, really poor foster homes that treated her very bad, treated her like she was trash, would rather kill her than actually try to raise her. But they wanted the foster family checks really bad. Then she goes back to current day, called Madoni, Sicily, where she sees this house and she has her own panther there, and she decides to buy this house with the riches that she's made from robbing all these different people. Then we go back to London, which is where she resides, that apartment, and she gets a call, or I guess she kind of gets shocked by Holly just showing up out of nowhere. If you don't read Catwoman, Holly is essentially the best friend of Selina. She's the best friend of Catwoman, but she has this bruise on her eye. She has a black eye. And it kind of sends them back to current day, or not current day, a day in the past, whenever they first met in Gotham City 10 years ago. Selina was sitting on the roof. Holly was trying to escape from the cops. She hid somewhere, and then the two became best friends. She also had a black eye that day as well. But they also talk about their former group, which was, that I actually should have gone over a little more. But their group was called, oh my gosh, they were called, I can't remember. Anyways, they were this female-led group by Catwoman, of course. But then they broke up and everything kind of went awry. And Holly's there trying to persuade her to do this one job. And it doesn't go that well. Catwoman, Selina, declines it. But then whenever she tries to cut the cake, she sees like this blue ball that was left in the cake. And then those cats from earlier, after the flashbacks that we've had and how the day got started, They show up and they break into her house, and all those explosions catch up, and now we're back to where we left off with Catwoman in previous day, with her jumping off of the roof. She has all this great technology that she uses, a great car, motorcycle, and she finds out that these people have kidnapped Holly. So whenever she gets up there, she starts fighting this one woman, this one of the cats that was trying to rob her place, or one of the getaway cars, and she's fighting her really good. She uses a sword. Catwoman can't do anything, so she decides, well, I can't beat her in a fight, so I'm just going to go ahead and steal back what she stole from me. And then we see who that person was, and what a cliffhanger that was. It introduces a new character to the Absolute Universe. We're going to inevitably get the retelling of her origin, or where this person was in the whole Absolute Universe. Can't wait to see that. But Absolute Catwoman is an absolute buy for me. An absolute fantastic book coming out this week from Scott Snyder and Che Grayson. Next, we go over to Image. We have 5 more books to talk about. We have M1 Monster Racing League. This is 24 pages for $4. Story is by Lily and Robert Winsome. The art is done by Jay Lee. Now, this was a pretty quick read for me, even though it was only 24 pages, which makes sense. It follows this character of Dev. She just moved to Tokyo from San Diego, and she did so because her dad doesn't want to lose her too, which sounds like a divorce, I guess, from the father, and this is his kid. Not quite sure why that's kind of a thing. I guess that results in why she has such this poor attitude. Anyways, she goes to school, doesn't make a whole lot of friends, but on the outside she goes to this cat cafe, and she meets a new friend called Maurice. And they hit it off, kind of. Dev can't stand how much she talks to them. She's a very quick speaker, definitely has ADHD. Then Dev almost gets run over and gets saved by this mysterious hooded figure who we saw at the very beginning and we will see at the very end. She wants to get into trouble. Maurice invites her to an arcade, and then you find out that Dev loves racing. So they send her to this racing league, which is pretty intriguing. Maurice's brother, called Kato, always finishes in second place and always loses to this Ryuki guy. And then Dev gets into the race and she wins on her first try, which kind of felt a little bogus to me. Felt way too easy. And then you kind of get that masked figure showing up again at the end. To me, this is a sell. Unfortunately, just not an intriguing book. Doesn't make me want to get the next issue. So that is why it's a sell. Next, another huge book of the week, Avengers Armageddon. This is issue number 1. This is 32 pages for $6. I also got the cool Magic the Gathering card. They're having this huge crossover with Magic the Gathering and Marvel. If you buy Avengers Armageddon, I'm pretty sure you get this, at least the A cover. I know that for a fact. Pretty cool, but I mean, it's whatever. I don't really care. Anyways, you see Red Hulk, you see Thunderbolt Ross talking about how he plans to take over the world, or not take over the world. He's like, weakness is that we try to let everybody make decisions for themselves. We think that they know what's best for them, even though they're being run by democracies, but they're not really democracies because they're only being decided by the top 1%. So he decides to take over Latveria, and he calls it Democracy City and his new territory of New America. And that's his plan for the world. It's time for the dream to be felt by everyone. It's time for a new America. So then the Avengers all come together after it's shown that Steve Rogers is in a coma after the events of Captain America issue number 11. Very important that you read the Captain America series before you read this. Maybe not the whole thing, but at least from the point where it started talking about Armageddon. I would highly recommend that, which I think was issue 7 there onward. I would recommend that. But you have the Avengers all coming together, even though we don't know if they're the Avengers. We're just assuming that they are. You have Namor, the Fantastic Four, Winter Soldier, Captain America Sam Wilson, Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Vision, a boatload of characters, and of course, Iron Man. And he shows this device that he created after Doom took over the entire world. It basically scours the entire world for enemies, both at home and abroad. And he shows that his system says that he's already won. He's already going to win this war. And the UN tells them, hey, I don't care what you guys plan to do. If you intervene, we will take you in and lock you up for the rest of your life. We don't care what the outside world thinks. Then it shows Hulk invading this country, desecrating everybody, and then you see David Coulson show up to the Pentagon, a very important character who was introduced in the Captain America series by Chip Zdarsky, and he is overpowered as F now because he got given one of these ultimate boxes. And they hold powers inside. And he got it because his heart was about to stop. Wolverine saw him dying. He didn't feel like he deserved to die. So he gave him, or they're called origin boxes. He gave him it, and now he has this super insane strength. He can fly. He punches Captain Marvel once, and she goes flying down to the ground and into the earth. He's extremely powered, but they calm him down, and he decides to join the Avengers. Then they say, well, Spider-Man, you don't want to come? Well, somebody needs to defend New York, so that's your job now. And then they all decide to assemble, and they're going to go to Latveria or New America to go stop Thunderbolt Ross. A great issue 1. It sets up the entire event. Fantastic book by Chip Zdarsky. It is absolutely a buy for me. Oh my gosh, my voice is starting to go. Anyways, we have 3 more books. We have Bishop, issue 1. This is 32 pages for $5. This is also the variant cover by Scotty Young. This is written by Saladin Ahmed. The art is done by Mario Santoro. This book essentially just tells you the origins of Bishop, his powers, why he does what he does, and it tells you about the future for this place called Sheepshed Bay, and how it in the future is a mutant work camp 80 years from now, and how Storm is actually looks to be like the grandma of Bishop. Very intriguing. Don't know if that is true, but that definitely looked like Storm, and she shows up later in this book. We find the origin of Bishop and how he kind of feels like he's responsible for the death of his sister, Shard, after he got bad intel, took her on a mission, sent her on a mission, and she ended up not dying, but basically having her brain and her whole mind controlled by this creature or creatures. Storm talks him out of it, says, shut up, you're fine, you're a great person, you're even greater brother. Then, whenever he tries to leave, he gets jumped by this person called Fireflame, I believe. And then he goes ahead, and whenever he's fighting them, he gets help from a certain person that I will not name, but it's very intriguing, leaves on a good cliffhanger, and I don't like a lot of Saladin Ahmed's writing, but this was good enough to get an issue 2. Plus, there's an SDNA cover, or David Nakayama blue block cover. Definitely helps. I will be getting issue 2. Bishop is a so-so buy. If you don't like the X-Men, you don't like Bishop, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you're intrigued by the character, I would definitely get it, especially for new, because it tells you the origins of the character, tells you a lot of the history of the character, tells you how his powers works and what his motivations are. Next, we go to Ignition Press, their only book that came out this week, Bad Thoughts, issue number 1. This is written by Andy Parks, illustrated by Dave Watcher. So we meet this character named Jack, and his name is Jack Coates, and he has these powers where he can hear, and then he can see what your past has done. He can go into your mind, see what your future plans are, your past things that you've done. And he runs into this person that did some really terrible things to a woman, has plans to do things to this woman that he's currently with on a date, takes him outside, beats him up. His wife has to come and drag him off. Then he goes back to work at this Bishop security place, and they get told their new task, their new plan for this white supremacist group. Ignition Press is a lot about white supremacy, but I mean, it's a big topic in the world right now anyways, because of just the way we are in America. You know, it's always been here. It's just really important in media right now. Anyways, they go on this mission. Jack is really close to this tractor character. I believe that's his last name. Anyways, they feel really close. His name's Bill, and they're basically like father and son, or best friends, however you want to say it. They go on this mission. Things start going wrong, but Jack kind of goes Rambo mode and just mows everybody down. Then he gets the white supremacy group, but he was too late. They already killed everybody. And they inevitably track them down, and they see that this one dude had no mercy and killed this woman pleading for her life. Even though she was 4 months pregnant, he still shot and killed her. He said, "You're just a messenger." Kind of crazy. That puts him in a rage where his eyes go red. He can't really see. He has to be calmed down by his friends. And then everything is calm. He goes back home, has a good time with his wife, but then he gets sight of one of the good friends that he has at this Bishop security place and sees maybe they're not such a good person. Maybe I should look into them and the past that they have created and what their future plans are. Crazy, crazy introductory. Andy Parks, Ignition Press, Bad Thoughts, issue 1 is a for sure buy. What a great introductory book. Fantastic. It's great, action-packed. The art style is amazing. And Andy Parks, what a introductory book. I love the character of Jack Coates already. Next, and finally, we have Mask. This is issue number 1. Mobile Armored Strike Command. We start off with Matt Tracker, who we saw in the Energon Universe special. If you did not get that, that came out on Free Comic Book Day. Got tracked down, and he turns himself into the U.S. Army. Then we get an update on what the other people for Venom are doing. They're tracking down these scientists, these people that are trying to use this teleportation / wormhole device. And Matt Tracker gets sent to an unknown location. He gets put in this bunker and interviewed by General Flag. I still don't think this is the actual General Flag. In fact, you should know it's not the actual General Flag if you've been reading G.I. Joe. Anyways, he pleads his case saying that Miles Mayhem is not a good dude. He's a conspiracy theorist of the 10th degree. He believes everything. Nothing to him is a lie. Everything has some truth in it. And he stole all his work, and now he's out on the run with this Venom group. And you see him talking to this scientist saying, "Oh, thank you for telling me all this stuff. Shake my hand," and he disintegrates. So we know where Venom is going. They're going to this place called Frusenland in Denmark, or a space between Denmark and Russia. Matt Tracker knew that there was a mole in the U.S. Army, so that's why he got himself, I guess, put into custody so that he can rat out the mole and inevitably disarm him and kill him, saving General Flag's life. General Flag in favor is like, "Okay, we'll drop the charges on you as long as you work for us." And he's like, "Nah, screw that. I'm going to get my ride out of here. Take this. If you need me, call me." So that's where that leaves off. And then maybe Miles Mayhem actually isn't that crazy, and most of the conspiracy theories are actually true. Who knows? At least in this book. Great, great introductory. Dan Waters, a great book from the Energon Universe. Mask, for me, is a buy. Not a whole lot of sells in this buy or sell. 10 books, 8 of them are buys, 2 are sells. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about the new issue 1s that came out this week and last week. But remember, keep reading those comics panel by panel. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great rest of your day.